The crowd noise is ramped up. The Buckeyes are ramping up for Big Ten play, and they're going on the road. That's where snap judgments begin. A Woody Wednesday with Bill Landis, and I am Austin Ward. Ohio State's ready. You got the crowd noise going. They're working on the communication. It's real. It's happening. They're going to Michigan State on Saturday.
It is. I will be lying if I said I wasn't caught a little off guard by the pumped-in crowd noise walking into the practice on Wednesday. It was a nice reminder that the season is kind of finally here, right? No offense to the Akrons and Western Michigans and Marshalls of the world, but
none taken.
Yeah, they don't care. They got their checks. Big Ten plays here. It starts on the road. It'll be, I think it'll be an interesting test for Ohio State, right? They're big favorites, but Michigan State's a team with a little something to it. I think at the very least, more like for like athletes on the other side of the ball, which will be good to kind of get a better gauge of where Ohio State is.
Heading out to the deep water, as it's famously known up there at Spartan Stadium.
Yeah.
So we talked to Ryan Day, got an update first and foremost on Tyleik Williams, who practiced. It certainly sounds, Bill, like he will be playing on Saturday.
It was a pretty encouraging update to Tyleik practice today. I think the official evaluation was he looked good, so that's good to hear. There's still some evaluation I think that'll happen, I guess, on Thursday's practice, or they'll talk with him maybe tonight to see how things went. But I'm at the point now where I guess I'd be pretty surprised if Tyleik didn't try to give it a go on Saturday night.
The other health update came from Donovan Jackson, who already played. He already returned. He talked a little bit more about his process of coming back from the hamstring injury that plagued him in the middle of training camp and then kept him out of the first 2 games until he returned after the off date. It's super frustrating for him that he wanted to get back out there. Again, reminded me of Jackson Smith-Njigba and a similar injury a couple of years ago. And Donovan Jackson said, they said to be patient with the plan. He wanted to go out and play. He said that he felt fine. He had talked to us about a week and a half before the opener. He's like, I'll see you guys out there next Saturday. Everybody said to slow down. So I think it's a good thing for him. It's a good thing that Ohio State is managing these things a little bit differently, even if he didn't, say that they were treating it differently or that he was going to go down the same road of recovery that Jackson Smith-Njigba did. But there were similarities between them. And I think that the way that Donovan Jackson emerged on the other side and then he got a champion grade against Marshall on Saturday. I think they're going to be really glad that they handled it the way they did.
Yeah, and it's a bit of a blessing, I think, that it was Akron and Western Michigan and Marshall, right? If it were Notre Dame in the opener or maybe some kind of Big Ten game early on, I think perhaps they would have felt a little more urgency to maybe get Donovan Jackson on the field a little sooner than what he did. So I think it worked out well for everybody. He described it as a frustrated player and a staff that knows what's best for him as the dynamic between he and Ryan Day and some of the other coaches as they kind of lobbied to get on the field. Even in week 1, I think definitely for the Western Michigan game. But I think this is good, right? There was no need to rush him back. And there's a silver lining, I suppose, in the reps and exposure that got for Austin Sareveld. And now you feel pretty good about a 6th offensive lineman as well. And then Donovan really hit the ground running too. I didn't really sense any rust at all with him against Marshall either. So that was maybe the most encouraging bit of the whole thing, that there was no kind of ramp up for Donovan once he got back in there. He just sort of looked like the guy you expect him to be.
Yeah, I was pretty curious how that was going to go because we talked about that in the build-up a week ago. It's does he have some of that week 1 stuff that you have to work through, the physicality of the game, the speed of the game, if you haven't been through that? Because he missed a fair amount of time. He was always in uniform when we saw him, those opportunities in training camp or when he's coming off the field and lathered up. He had done a lot of work out there, but not the same as being in a game. And Saturday against Michigan State wouldn't be quite the same as Marshall, but I don't think that he is behind based on the way he played, the grade out that he got from Justin Fry, from Ryan Day, from Chip Kelly, from that performance. It's tough in real time from way up in the press box for me to tell. I don't know what your vantage point was, but when he was on the field, there was not a lot of room to attack Ohio State in the middle between what was going on with the guards there and Seth McLaughlin in the middle.
I was probably worried, is probably too strong of a word, but curious whether or not we might feel like it was sort of 2 steps forward with what we saw in progress from Akron to Western Michigan, and then a step back when you put a new guy in there, and then you maybe have to relearn some stuff. And then maybe you feel a little uneasy about going on the road against a Big Ten team after that, but it wasn't that. It was the opposite of that. It was these guys look like they've been playing together for 3 games now. And I guess that's a credit to Donovan Jackson's work ethic and preparation. And obviously he's an experienced player, so you would expect him to I think, play the way that he did in the opener. But it sure beats the alternative of going now into this game against Michigan State with lingering questions about your offensive line. I think everyone is feeling pretty confident about that group right now.
Yeah, the guy next to him, Josh Simmons, also made an appearance after practice on Wednesday night. It had been a year or more since we've heard from Ohio State's left tackle. And I don't know why, because he's really entertaining and knowledgeable about the game. And I do know that there was a period last year where he was under a lot of scrutiny and criticism and didn't want to be part of that publicly. And then maybe he figured out that he wasn't going to have to go out and talk to us a lot. But I'm glad he did, because he is awesome to talk to, and he's playing really well.
He's a really sharp guy, which I think like shows up when he's playing, right? He seems just like a pretty smart offensive lineman in addition to being pretty physically talented. And, you know, he didn't downplay the fact that he's playing with more confidence. He just sort of explained it as if it was something that it's kind of expected of anybody who's kind of in the position that he's in, that now he's a year into this program. Obviously, he played a year at San Diego State too. Like he should be feeling good about his ability to play at this level. I think based on the pretty consistent upward trajectory that it seemed like he was on last year. So that's showing up on the field, but he's not making too much of it, I don't think, because he knows that more difficult challenges are coming. I think this one against Michigan State could be interesting, because Michigan State's a team that is pretty aggressive with its front and has done a nice job thus far of pressuring quarterbacks. So it'll be a good test of where the offensive line is. But I think perhaps more specifically, maybe both tackles. So I think I've played pretty well. I know Josh Fryer gave up that sack last week, but I think mostly they've played okay. And Josh Simmons, I think, is playing really well. There was a lot of buzz about him in camp, and I think he's more than backed that up thus far. All right, that's a lot of offensive line talk. What else? You never have too much. I know. I just wanted to get you in your wheelhouse, because it's start a Big Ten play. Yeah, Big Ten games are won in the trenches. They are won in the trenches. They also can be won with really good running backs. Oh, okay. Ohio State's got two of them. We did talk with Travion Henderson on Wednesday night, and I was asking a little bit about, I think, some stuff. I can't remember if I said it while being recorded or not. I know I've been thinking it for a while. About just how good these running backs have been when they get to the second level. I feel like there were times throughout the last couple of years of like talking with Ryan Day about like, hey, what's up with the run game? And part of it was that maybe when they were getting guys to the second level, they didn't always feel great about what they were doing once they got there, like making that last guy miss and turning like a 10-yard run into a 40-yard touchdown kind of thing. And I think Quinshon Judkins has been good at that this year. And I think Travion's been really good at that. He's the one to me that has just jumped out a little more, I think, with the tenacity that he's running with. And it's not to say he wasn't playing hard. He definitely was, but there's a physicality that he has now when he gets to that second and third level of a defense that I think is very apparent. And Ryan Day said that, like, you know, a lot of what those guys are doing in that running back room is contagious, whether it's the stuff that I'm talking about or really taking more pride in pass protection, just really anything to a man that they do. There could be a situation where there's like, oh, why is this guy getting an opportunity and I'm not? But instead it's like, okay, that guy did that, now watch me go do this kind of thing, which I think is a pretty healthy place for that room to be in. Yeah. I think with Travion specifically, like, we've followed his whole career and dating back to high school and the time there and the level of competition. Like, it's easier for us to see the development and the changes for him, whether that's the vision, using that stiff arm, the cuts, the things that he's doing, the confidence that he carries. I don't know that it was lacking the confidence part a year ago, but the complete package, I think, is just at a level that it hasn't been previously. I didn't watch every carry Quinshon Judkins ever took at Ole Miss, so I can't really weigh in on his development and the process for him to become an elite back. But Travion had already been really productive in his career at Ohio State, but there were things, you know, and you've made this point, you've had conversations with Ryan Day about, you know, the run game as a whole and some of the things that Travion could do better over the last couple of years. Like, we're much more familiar with what this process looks like, and he's now playing at the level that it's not just about his pure numbers, but the way that he's running, the things that he's setting up, the explosiveness once he gets to that second and third level that you mentioned, really wasn't the strength of his game previously. No, I don't think so. I think it's a fair evaluation of him, but I also think it's like really cool when players who are as established as Travion or anyone and are already very good, right? He could have shown up at camp the exact same guy he was last year. Like, great, that's a really good running back. But like, when you're that good and then you start to add things on top of your game, like, obviously it says a lot about the individual, but I think it says a decent amount too about like what happens in this building and just sort of how invested guys can be and like finding those areas in the margins that Ryan Day has talked about a lot that take this team from really good to, like, sometimes it's great to like being consistently elite. Like that's how it happens. And I think You can pick out a few other guys where I think that's been apparent as well, but maybe it's the most apparent with Travion right now.
Plus, he's got a new haircut.
He's more aerodynamic with his shaved head.
I told him that he looked 10 years older.
He does look older. Yeah.
And he said, thank you. Apparently, that's what he was going for.
Why would you want to look older?
That's what I don't know. Hey, whatever's working for him, just stick with it because it's really rolling for him right now. I haven't done this in a while, Bill. Just revealing the last people off the practice field on a Wednesday night at the Woody.
Yeah.
And it was Jordan Hancock. It was Caleb Downs. And it was Davis and Igbinosun. Guys getting in until the sun went down outside the Woody out there on the practice field. I don't know why, but it was the safeties and the secondary. The secondary,
yeah. I saw Davis out there. I didn't clock. Although I guess I noticed Caleb walking in pretty late too. Yeah, that's good. I think again that probably speaks to what I was just talking about. Like guys who are pretty established, who are pretty good, and they're just like finding those moments to get that extra work in and find the small areas to improve their game. I think there's probably a bit of frustration for the secondary coming off of the Marshall game because there were a couple of passes completed where, like, I thought the coverage was pretty good. Like the one guy, like Davis and Igbinosun was covering the one guy, and the ball like that was practically got wedged between their helmets. Like, what are you going to do about that? And then the one that Denzel Burke over the middle of the field, like
on the opening drive,
it was great coverage, and it's like kudos for making a really good throw. But I would imagine that could probably lead you to want to get back out here and put some extra time in to make sure that the plays like that are like right on the margin, 50-50 calls kind of go your way, obviously, instead of the other way.
Even the first, the opening third down of the game, Stone Earl is rolling left. Ty Hamilton nearly deflects the ball, matching the hands. And I think it was Jordan Hancock.
He like dove for it.
Yeah. They both missed it by a fraction of an inch. And maybe like everything we've talked about for Ohio State's defense for the last 5 days would have been different if the ball had just been thrown an inch the other way on either that or the throw to Denzel Burke, because both of those against Denzel Burke, both of those happened on the opening drive, and they were really close to going another way for Ohio State. But, you know, the margins are small when you're trying to win a national championship. So whether that's Marshall or Michigan State or anybody else, they're trying to make these plays now and not let them go against and say, oh, what could have been.
Jim Knowles was talking about that on Tuesday, like giving up that one first down, even if it is not even necessarily by way of you making a mistake. It's just like, crap, they made a good play there. It can snowball on you a little bit. And he said, like, maybe if we get off the field on that first or second, third down, maybe they don't even score that game. I do think football is kind of funny like that. So, yeah, this is a team that very much prides itself on getting off of the field. They've been very good at it by and large for at least starting back to last year. But even this year, they're still one of the top stop rate defenses in the country, despite Marshall putting together a couple of drives last week. But they want to be the best stop rate defense in the country, right? Yeah. They want to be the team that gets off the field on third down more efficiently than anybody. So they're back working at it tonight.
They were working. In fact, the entire Ohio State roster was on the field well past the normal time.
Yeah.
Almost till 6:45. Just for reference, that's 20 to 30 minutes more than a normal Wednesday practice. So it's that ramp up. It's happening. You turn up the noise and you stay on the practice field later. This Big Ten season is here, baby. Countdown is on. Saturday night, Ohio State at Michigan State, 7:30. It is streaming on Peacock. Peacock, that's the name of the network, I'm told. So I'll adjust that moving forward. These are Snap Judgments. He's Bill Landis. I'm Austin Ward. Thanks for joining us. We'll talk to you again tomorrow.